Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Emily. If you're new here, I'm a full-time college student. I go to school online and I will be graduating in December. My major is applied mathematics. I have 2 golden retrievers, which you guys have seen a ton on my channel, and my husband's also in the military. So this video is going to be about how I have stayed in college while being a military spouse and going through all the ups and downs that comes with that. So if you're interested, then just keep on watching. Also, I apologize for the way that my hair looks because I just got out of the shower and it's quarantine, so there's really no point in doing my hair. I did put on a little bit of makeup, but that's about it. And also I apologize for the glare in my glasses, but like it's raining, so the sun's kind of going in and out, so it's kind of hard to figure out the lighting. I tried to like turn this way, so it's not that bad, but still kind of bad. But I do get a lot of questions about my schooling, what I'm doing it for, what I plan to do, and all that kind of stuff. So like I said, my major is applied mathematics. Well, it's going to be a bachelor's of science in mathematics of applied mathematics, so my concentration is applied mathematics. And I will be graduating in December. The college that I go to right now is American Public University. I don't really have a problem telling you guys that because it's an online university, so you can't really show up to the school, obviously. I did go to school in person whenever I graduated high school, and then I met my husband, Andy, and we moved down here to Florida. I did transfer schools down here to the local community college, which is Northwest Florida State College. And then after I graduated with my associates from there, I transferred to be online with APU. So I do have my Associates of Arts now, but I decided to go for my bachelor's because that's what I knew I wanted to pursue. What I plan to do with my degree, there's a lot of things that I can do. I would like to commission into the reserves in the Air Force, but that's kind of like to be determined. Things have kind of been put on hold for me right now because of everything going on, if you know what I'm talking about. So like nobody is really working that I can kind of get the ball rolling with, so I'm kind of just in the process of figuring out what job I would like to do, and I want to do something that is good on the civilian side as well. But I would kind of like to do like be an analyst or something like that. End game is to get my PhD and then teach college. That's like way down the line after our kids are older and stuff like that. So, which we don't have kids now, so obviously that's a long way down the line. But yeah, that's what I plan to do. But like I said, things always change. I can do a lot of things. I chose my major so I didn't have to be stuck to one thing for my entire life. Like if in my mid-40s, if I want to have a career change, I can, and I don't have to go back to school. So it opens a lot of doors, which can be a blessing, but also a curse sometimes because you can't really figure out what you want to do. But regardless, I know that I'll be set for anywhere that we move, and for any job that I do want to do. So that is the plus side of it. Okay, so I'm gonna try to stay on topic for this video because there's so much that I want to talk about, but I don't want this video to be like 30 minutes long. So basically how you kind of want to like start if you know you want to go back to school, and you want to do something for yourself as a military spouse, whether you're the husband or the wife, and you know, vice versa. So basically you want to figure out what you want to study, obviously. You want to think about like the job outlook. If you guys move a lot, are you going to be able to find a job anywhere, or is it going to be where you're like stuck in one spot, that you can only find a job in like major cities, or you know, things like that. So that's something that you definitely want to look at, especially if the person, your spouse that's in the military, is planning on doing like the full 20 years. You definitely want to make sure you can work, you know, anywhere that you guys go. Definitely make sure that it's a growing field, that you're not doing it for the money, but if you're going to put that time and invest into your education, you definitely want to make sure that you're making enough for it to be worth it. You don't want to like get a job and you're like thousands and thousands of dollars in debt. from school, and then you don't even make any money, or you can't really find a job, or it requires for you to have like a master's or a doctorate or something like that. And then also I would say you would want to figure out if you want to get a certificate or an associate's or a bachelor's, or if you want to get a master's or a PhD, or like, you know, physician's assistant, or go to med school or be a vet or something like that. So you can definitely get a certificate. There's nothing wrong with that. It's definitely a great stepping stone, especially if you don't know what you want to do but you're interested in something and you kind of just want to work. That's definitely a option. You can get a certificate like being a medical assistant, being a CNA, doing like dental assisting or something like that, or dental hygiene. I know that some of those can be an associate's degree, but it really just depends. Associate's degree also could be like you going and being an RN, being a nurse. Like obviously that's a great option. Just because you aren't going for a bachelor's doesn't mean that it's not going to be a good thing, or that it's not good enough or something. So don't think that that's like where I'm coming from. But you can definitely do other things, like you could do EMT, which is a certificate. You can do radiology, which here is an associate's degree. There's different programs and things that you can look into that are like vocational and things like that, rather than just getting a degree. But if you do want to get like an associate's and then onto a bachelor's, which most people, if they want to get a bachelor's, the associate's doesn't really matter anyways, then you would just, like me, yeah, it's cool that I have an Associate's of Arts, but also I knew I was getting a bachelor's, so it didn't really matter to me whether I got my associate's or not. That was just kind of like a step in the right direction. But nowadays you can't really do much with an associate's anyways, unless it is in one of those technical fields that I just talked about. So keep that in mind if you're getting an associate's in math or an associate's in like teaching or something. Like obviously you can't really do much with that anyways, so definitely think about that. Just because you have an associate's doesn't mean that you can actually do anything. Most jobs nowadays do require you to have a bachelor's degree. So that would be the big one. Figure out what you want to do, what you like. If you need to go shadow or do some research or watch some YouTube videos or something like that to kind of figure out what you want to do. And then once you figure that out, figure out what school you can go to. So for me, when I got my associates, I knew that I wanted to major in a science or a math like field or major. So I looked around at schools. I knew that I couldn't go to school in person because the closest school here for me to go in person to was the University of West Florida, which is all the way in Pensacola, and I am not gonna drive all the way to Pensacola for class 4 days a week. That's just too much, especially because I knew that I wanted to work part-time as well. And with Andy being gone a lot, I don't want to have to spend 2 hours a day in the car. That's just not something that I was willing to do. So, I mean, it's totally up to you what you decide. The University of West Florida does have a campus here in Fort Walton Beach, which is near Eglin, but it's mostly for like computer engineering or like electrical or mechanical engineering or something like that, which I didn't want to do. So for me, I looked for online schools. I found a few schools, like Southern New Hampshire was a good one. I think Purdue had one. There was, what's the other one? Arizona State had a good program and stuff like that. So I ended up finding that mathematics was probably the route for me and that I wanted to take because I really enjoy mathematics, and I looked at like the job outlook and things that I could do with it, and there were just so many doors open with it that that's just what I decided to go for. To me, it just seemed like that was the right decision. And as far as like, I also looked at how my credits would transfer. So I didn't want to go into a program that they were only going to take 20 of my 80 credits, because at that point I did have a decent amount of credits. If you're not familiar, a bachelor's degree is 120 credits, so I already had 80, so I was already very far along in my educational journey. So I didn't want to transfer and go into a program where they weren't going to take any of my credits and I was practically going to be restarting. So yeah, I decided I found the program through APU, which APU is also the same as American Military University, which is what Andy goes through. So I knew that that was a good school. It was accredited, which is a huge thing, that you want to make sure that it's either nationally or regionally accredited, or else it literally doesn't matter. So yeah, I chose APU and I found their program. I called the advisor. I talked to them about transferring my credits, about how long I would have to graduate and how many more classes I would have to do since I already had a decent amount of classes. I had actually already taken Calc 1 and things like that with my associate's degree, so I essentially just transferred with them. They took all of my credits. I think only 20 were considered electives, which for my degree I already needed like 12 electives, so not a lot of them like went to waste, so it was worth it for me. And then I also looked at the financial aspect of it. Arizona State was a really good program online. They're a very expensive school, and I just can't afford that. I didn't feel like I needed to go there, or that it would be worth it for me instead of just going to APU. So I decided to go there, which it's about $800 and some a class for a 3-credit class, which isn't terrible. Like, it's pretty good for an online college and for a bachelor's. And all of my books and stuff like that are all included, which is really nice, so I don't have to worry about paying for those in addition to paying my tuition. So with that being said, you obviously want to think about how you're going to pay for it. I hear a lot of military spouses say, I can't go to college because I can't afford it. And I think that that is a very, very, very sad excuse. I'm not like trying to talk negatively towards it, but I think that a lot of people maybe just don't understand or aren't aware of the resources that are available to you, and the ways that you can pay for your college without going into a huge amount of debt. So luckily for me, when I went to school before I met Andy, I already had a scholarship to my local community college back in Delaware, where I'm from. So I wasn't paying for any of my school in the first place. And then when I transferred down here to get my associates at Northwest, the in-person college that I went to, I did financial aid. I did not have a scholarship, and I just did financial aid, which if you're not familiar with that, you fill out your FAFSA online. It's federal aid something, student aid something, I don't know. But you fill that out and that links your taxes to it, and they basically grant you a certain amount of money based on your income, and if you're married, based on you and your spouse's income. At that time I was not working, so they based it just off of Andy's income, which they actually don't take BAH into account for income, so it made it seem like he didn't really make that much money in the first place. So I actually got a lot of money back. I got about $6,000 back per semester, which was plenty to cover my tuition. I think I only ended up paying $500 out of pocket, which I just paid because we had the money and I didn't want to start a student loan just because of $500. It just didn't make sense to me. So that's what I decided to do. So I got my associates completely, not free, but I didn't go in debt. And then when I transferred to American Public University, APU, I knew that I was going to have to start a student loan just because it was a more expensive school, and I knew how many classes that I had to take and about how much it was going to cost me, and I knew I wasn't going to get that much in financial aid. So I did start my student loan, which is through FAFSA. You just say you want to use your student loan, and it's a federal student loan, and you definitely want to make sure that you get the unsubsidized one, which is, it's not accruing interest as you're still in school, and you don't have to start paying on it until you're 6 months after you've graduated. You can obviously pay on it while you're in school, or before that 6 months if you want to. I mean, there's no penalty regardless. So if you have extra money that you can throw into it, definitely do that. But I do still get financial aid. I get still about $6,000 per semester. That is not enough to cover my tuition, so I do put all of that money that I do get back, I just put it towards my student loan, and I pay on it, which I have no problem telling you guys this, because I feel like this is, people always wonder, how the hell is she paying for this, or like, how is she going to school and not in crazy amounts of debt, or I bet she is in debt. I'm actually not. I'll graduate with a student loan of about $4,000, which is literally nothing, and I'm not gonna pay it off. I'm not planning to pay it off as soon as I graduate, which I could with the amount of money that I probably will make. after I graduate and get a full-time job. But I'm not going to pay it off because it's a really good way to build your credit. So I just plan to pay on it because it'll be really cheap, and I'll probably just pay more than I need to, and then it'll be paid off way before I know it, which, if you know anything about college, $4 grand in a student loan is literally nothing. So not worried about it at all. So don't be scared to like take out a loan if you need to. I'm definitely not encouraging to go in debt because I don't feel that going in debt is a good idea. We do try to pay off our debt, like we do try to follow Dave Ramsey. If you guys know about him, I won't go into it, but we do try to follow him as far as like paying off our debt and things like that. But student loan, I don't really look at that as a negative debt like I do cars and things like that, and credit cards and stuff like that. I think those are negative debt. I think a student loan is a positive debt because it's an investment. In probably a month, I'm gonna make how much my student loan is. So going in debt $4 grand is no big deal to me, when in the grand scheme of things, I'm gonna make a lot more money than that. So yeah, and the biggest thing that I will say that is a really good thing as a military spouse, people think that as a military spouse you get all this financial education benefits, and you don't. The military has not paid for any of my school at all. They pay for Andy's schooling. Andy goes to school for free, which is amazing. And he gets his full GI Bill, which is also amazing. But military spouses don't really get that many education benefits. A lot of people think that you do, which would be great, but that's just not the case. There is a scholarship called My CAA. If you've heard of it, go to militaryOneSource.com, I believe. I will link some information in the description below because that's way easier than me talking about it. But it's a $4,000 scholarship, and it applies towards certificate programs and associate's programs that are approved with an approved school. So I was not able to use that because I had already had my associates and I was going for my bachelor's. It does not apply towards bachelor's degrees, which I think is stupid. So my CAA, if you're watching this, please change that. But yeah, that's basically the technical side of everything. If I didn't cover anything, then definitely leave questions down below. But a question that I do get a lot is how I manage everything. So I am in school full-time, which full-time is 12 credit hours this semester. I take a lot more than that actually because I don't take any time off. My classes are 8 weeks long, and I do have a few 16-week in between those, but I don't take any time off because I just want to get done already. But like this past semester, I took a 16-week class. I took Calc 3, and then each half of that, so each 8-week portion of that, the first 8 weeks and the second 8 weeks, I took 2 8-week classes in conjunction with those. So I took statistics and another class I can't remember the name of, and right now I'm taking, I'm in my last week of these classes, so I'm in my last week of Calc 3, probability theory with applications, and mathematical modeling, and then those end on Sunday. And then May 4th I will start differential equations, which is a 16-week, and then the other 2 8-week classes that I don't remember the name of because I just signed up for that. So that's the point that I am at my degree. I like just take the classes because I have to, but all I have left are all 8-week courses, and they're all my concentration courses, and then my senior seminar, and I will graduate in December with my bachelor's degree, which I'm very excited about. But yeah, how I manage it all, honestly, I did a video on how I plan out my schoolwork, so if you haven't seen that, definitely go and check it out. But how I manage it as far as like working, I do work 3 days out of the week, all day, and I do YouTube, and obviously I'm a wife. I have 2 dogs that are a lot of work, and school is very demanding. I just get it done. Honestly, there's no like secret tool that I use. Sometimes it is very overwhelming, and sometimes I have to lock myself in my office and just crank shit out, honestly. That's the best way that I can put it. Yesterday, I literally sat and I wrote an entire paper and did multiple discussion posts and assignments just because I wanted to get it over with. So there's just certain times where I just crunch it out and I just get it done, and I put my phone away and you know, or I'll set a timer for an hour and get as much done in that hour as I possibly can, and I just fit it in where I can. I get things done by the deadline. And I don't just do like the subpar amount. I do, you know, more than I need to, and I make out well. Like, I have a good GPA, and you know, there's no rhyme or reason to it. Luckily, I have a husband that supports me a ton. We don't have kids, and he understands if I'm not cooking dinner that night because I have so much to do, or, you know, there's one day that I'm just exhausted and I'm not doing anything because I have worked my butt off. And there's just, you know, you just get it done. There's no, literally, I can't tell you like, this is how I do it. It's just, you just get it done. And if you're motivated enough and you want it enough, you'll just make it happen. I think that is like every tip, every informational piece that I can think of right now. This video is already over 20 minutes long, so hopefully I can cut it down a little bit, but it will probably be pretty long, just because there's so much to talk about in a little amount of time, because I don't want to make this super long. But the biggest piece of advice that I can give for military spouses, especially young military spouses, is that I understand that your husband is like an airman basic, and you guys probably don't make a lot of money, especially if you live on base. He probably brings in $900 every 2 weeks. I understand that. That's not a lot of money, and you're probably struggling paycheck to paycheck because you're just starting out, you've just got married, you know, whatever. But the biggest thing that I can say is the less that he makes and the lower that his rank is, the more that you will get in financial aid, which is free college. So when I was growing up, my parents made a lot of money. My financial aid came back with literally zero financial aid. I got nothing. And so now that I'm married to Andy and we're younger, you know, I wasn't working. He doesn't obviously make as much as my parents did when they were older. I've gotten a lot of financial aid, and that's really helped me to stay low on my student loan, and get my schooling done. So don't think that just because he or she, your spouse, doesn't make a lot of money that you can't go to school, because I promise you that you can. So if you guys have any questions, don't hesitate to message me over on my Instagram. That's probably the best place to ask me questions, because I get the notification, versus the comments. I go in and I like look at my comments and respond and stuff. But I definitely still respond to comments. But my Instagram is probably more personable and just easier to kind of chat with me. So if you have any questions, message me over there, leave a comment down below. If you want me to do more school related videos or anything like that, just let me know. I do love making those kinds of videos because that's a huge part of my life and who I am. And if I can help anybody out as far as, you know, meeting their goals, meeting their educational goals, their career goals, I would love to do that. So yeah, that is it for this video. I hope you guys enjoyed. Follow me over on my Instagram. Make sure you hit that subscribe button, like this video, comment down below, and I'll see you guys in my next one. Bye guys.